The transport ship Virex 9 drifted silently through the void, its massive hull scarred from years of war and evacuation runs. Inside, thousands of displaced beings from a dozen shattered worlds lived in cramped compartments, surviving on minimal rations and dwindling hope. No one spoke much anymore. Hunger had a way of silencing even the most resilient species. And among them all, there was her. She sat alone in the far corner of the cargo bay, where the lights flickered and the air recyclers groaned like dying animals. Her kind wasn't familiar to most aboard the ship, tall, slender, with pale, almost translucent skin that shimmered faintly under dim light. Her eyes, large and silver, reflected everything, but revealed nothing. They called her the Refuser, because she never took the rations. Every cycle, when the distribution drones floated through the bay, dispensing nutrient packs to every registered refugee, she simply watched them pass. No reaching, no acknowledgement, nothing. At first, people thought she was sick. Then they thought she was arrogant. Eventually, they stopped thinking about her at all. Except for one. Elias Bourne was human. And unlike most aboard the Virex 9, he still noticed things. Maybe it was because he hadn't been on the ship as long. Or maybe it was because humans, despite everything, still clung to curiosity like it was oxygen. He first saw her on his second cycle aboard. She was sitting perfectly still, knees drawn slightly inward, hands resting gently in her lap. The drone approached, paused, and released a ration pack in front of her. She didn't touch it. Hours later, it remained untouched. Elias picked it up eventually, not to take it, but to hand it to someone else who needed it more. But the question stayed with him. Why wouldn't she eat? Over the next few cycles, he watched her. Not in a creepy way, just observant. Every time rations were distributed, she refused them. Every time. Yet she didn't seem weak. That was the strange part. Everyone else aboard showed signs of malnutrition, sunken features, slow movements, dull eyes. But her? She remained unchanged, composed, still, almost untouched by hunger. It unsettled him. On the 7th cycle, Elias approached her. "You're going to die if you keep doing this," he said, crouching a short distance away. No response. "I've seen species go into fasting rituals before," he continued. "But this isn't that, is it?" Silence. He sighed. "Look, I'm not here to judge. Just take the ration next time. You don't have to prove anything." Her eyes shifted. That was the first movement he had ever seen from her. They locked onto him, and for a brief moment, Elias felt something strange, like he was being measured. Then she spoke. "I am not refusing," she said softly. Her voice was unlike anything he had heard, calm, melodic, almost echoing. "I am unchosen." Elias blinked. "Unchosen?" She nodded faintly. "My kind does not take sustenance unless it is given with intent. Shared willingly. Chosen." He frowned. "That doesn't make sense. The drones are distributing food equally." "That is distribution," she replied. "Not choice." Elias sat back slightly, trying to process it. "So, you're saying you can't eat unless someone personally gives it to you?" "I can," she said. "But I will not." "Why?" Her gaze softened, just slightly. "Because to be chosen is to be acknowledged, to be seen. Without that, survival has no meaning." Elias didn't know what to say. In a ship full of starving refugees, this sounded insane. But something about her tone made it feel real. "How long has it been?" he asked. "Since I was last chosen," she said. He nodded. She looked away. "Before my world fell." That answer hit harder than he expected. Everyone aboard had lost something. But there was something uniquely final about the way she said it. The next ration cycle came. The drones floated through the bay as usual, dispensing packs with mechanical precision. Elias watched her. The drone stopped in front of her, released the ration, and moved on. She didn't move. Again. Elias stood there for a moment, conflicted. Then slowly he stepped forward. He picked up the ration pack. She didn't react. He hesitated. This is ridiculous, he thought. But then he remembered her words. To be chosen is to be acknowledged. Elias took a breath and held the ration out toward her. I choose you, he said. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her eyes widened slightly. The faint shimmer across her skin brightened, almost imperceptibly. She reached out. Slowly. Deliberately. Her fingers brushed against his as she took the ration. And, in that instant, Elias felt it. A surge. Not physical, not painful, but something deeper. Like a pulse of energy passing between them. A connection. He staggered slightly. What was that? He whispered. She looked at him. Truly looked at him this time. You have acknowledged me, she said. And in doing so, you have bound yourself. Elias blinked. Bound? That wasn't part of the deal. A faint smile touched her lips. You chose without understanding, she said. That is the nature of your kind. Okay, I'm starting to regret this. You should not, she replied gently. Then, for the first time, she opened the ration and ate. The effect was immediate. The faint glow of her skin intensified, spreading like soft light beneath the surface. Her posture shifted, subtle, but stronger. More present. The air around her seemed to hum. Other refugees noticed. Whispers spread quickly. The refuser ate. Someone chose her. Something's changed, Elias, however, felt something else. A pull. Like a thread connecting him to her. Tell me exactly what bound means, he said. She stood slowly, taller than him by a head. It means your life and mine are now intertwined. He stared. That's not comforting. If I weaken, you will feel it, she continued. If I am harmed, you will share in that harm. And what do I get out of this? She stepped closer. Her silver eyes softened. You are no longer unseen. That answer lingered. Over the following cycles, things began to change. She no longer sat alone. She stayed near Elias. Not out of dependence, but connection. Others began to notice the difference in him too. He moved with more purpose, more clarity. And sometimes when danger arose within the crowded ship, conflicts over food, territorial disputes, something strange happened. Elias reacted faster, stronger, as if guided. One cycle, a fight broke out near the ration station. A desperate alien lunged at Elias, trying to steal his pack. Before Elias could react, she moved. Faster than anything he had seen. The attacker froze mid-motion, as if held by an invisible force. Her eyes glowed. You will not harm what is mine, she said. The alien collapsed, unconscious. Silence fell over the bay. Elias turned to her slowly. What are you? She looked at him. I am what remains of my people. That night cycle. She finally told him everything. Her species, the Elith, were not warriors. They were amplifiers. Their power depended entirely on connection, on being chosen. The more they were acknowledged, the stronger they became. But without that, they faded. Not physically at first, but existentially. Forgotten. Powerless. Gone. My world fell because we were forgotten, she said quietly. No allies came. No one chose us. Elias clenched his fists. That won't happen again. She studied him. You cannot choose an entire species. No, he said. But I can choose you. Days passed. Then weeks. The Virex 9 continued its journey through unstable space. And then the attack came. Pirates. Not the desperate kind. The organized kind. Their ships emerged from the void like predators, locking onto the transport. Alarms blared. Panic spread instantly. They're boarding. We're dead. Seal the compartments. Elias grabbed her hand instinctively. What do we do? She looked at the chaos unfolding, then back at him. You must choose me again. I already did. Choice is not a moment, she said. It is a decision, repeated. The first breach exploded open. Armed raiders flooded in. Blaster fire lit the corridors. Screams echoed. Elias stepped forward. His heart pounded. Fear clawed at him, but he didn't let go of her hand. I choose you, he said again. Stronger this time. The effect was immediate. The air cracked with energy. Her form shimmered, light cascading across her skin like liquid starlight. The ground beneath them trembled. The attackers hesitated. She stepped forward. No longer quiet. No longer unseen. I am chosen, she said. Her voice echoed across the bay. And I will not be erased. What followed was not a fight. It was a shift. The attackers' weapons failed. Their movements slowed, as if reality itself resisted them. She raised her hand, and the invaders were thrown back, as though struck by an unseen force. Elias stood in awe. You're rewriting physics. She didn't answer. Her focus was absolute. More pirates poured in, but it didn't matter, because now she wasn't alone. Others stepped forward. Refugees. Different species. Different worlds. But they had all seen it. What choice could do. I choose her, one said. Then another. And I do too. Me as well. The effect multiplied. Her glow intensified. Brighter. Stronger. Unstoppable. The tide turned completely. Within minutes, the pirates retreated. Not out of mercy, but fear. Silence fell. The survivors stared at her. Not as the refuser, but something else. Something more. Elias exhaled slowly. You're not going to refuse rations anymore, are you? She looked at him, a small smile forming. No, she said. Because now, I am chosen. Later, as the ship resumed its journey, something fundamental had changed. Not just for her, but for everyone. Because in a universe where entire civilizations could be erased without notice, they had learned something simple, something powerful. To choose someone is to give them existence. The pirates never returned. Word spread quickly across nearby sectors about what had happened aboard the Virex 9. Raiders spoke of a transport ship defended not by weapons but by something else. Something they couldn't understand. Something that bent space itself. And fear travels faster than any ship. But inside the vessel, the change was even greater. For the first time since evacuation, the refugees no longer moved like ghosts drifting toward extinction. They gathered. They spoke. They shared stories again. And every ration cycle, she stood beside Elias. Not waiting, not refusing, but receiving. The first time the drone arrived after the attack, it hovered uncertainly in front of her, as it always had. Elias looked at her. She looked at him. He didn't hesitate. He picked up the ration pack and placed it gently in her hands. I choose you, he said. Not loudly, not dramatically, just simply. And this time the entire bay heard it. A few cycles later, others began doing the same, not just for her but for one another. A Trian elder chose a starving child from a shattered moon colony. A former soldier chose a quiet medic who had lost her world. A being of crystalline structure chose a creature made of vapor. It became ritual. Not required. Not commanded. but chosen. And something strange began happening across the ship. The lights flickered less. The air recyclers stabilized. Power reserves, once critically low, began showing inexplicable efficiency gains. Engineers couldn't explain it, but she could. "You are strengthening each other," she told Elias quietly as they stood near a viewport, watching distant stars streak past. "My kind amplifies acknowledgement, but acknowledgement itself is power." He crossed his arms. "So, you're saying this whole time the galaxy's biggest weakness wasn't lack of weapons?" She nodded. It was isolation. Weeks passed. The Virex 9 finally reached the coordinates of Haven Reach, a rumored coalition station built in secret by surviving allied species. No one aboard knew if it still existed. The long-range scanners activated. Silence filled the command deck. Then, there, a navigator shouted. A structure emerged from behind a nebula cloud. Massive, multi-layered, scarred but intact. Haven Reach had survived. A transmission came through. Unidentified transport. State your origin and intent. For a moment, no one moved. Then Elias stepped forward. "This is the refugee vessel Virex 9. We carry survivors from 12 fallen systems. We request docking." There was a pause, long enough to feel like judgment. Then, docking granted. As the ship approached the station, something shifted inside her. Elias felt it instantly through their bond. "You're afraid," he said softly. She didn't deny it. "If they do not choose us," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "They will." "How can you be certain?" "Because I will choose you first." The docking clamps locked into place. The bay doors opened. Representatives from Haven Reach stood waiting, armored, cautious, scanning for threats. The refugees hesitated. So much depended on this moment. Acceptance. Or rejection. Elias stepped forward first. Then she followed beside him. The station commander, a tall being wrapped in metallic robes, studied them carefully. "You are the one they speak of," the commander said, looking at her. She said nothing. Her glow was faint now, not blazing as in battle. Controlled. Contained. "We heard what happened in the outer sectors," the commander continued. "Pirate vessels disabled. Survivors claiming reality distortion." Elias exhaled slowly. "She defended us." The commander's gaze sharpened. "And what does she require in return?" Silence. All eyes turned to her. This was it. The moment that would decide whether her species faded or endured. She stepped forward. "I require nothing," she said. Her voice carried across the docking chamber. "I will not take from you." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Elias felt the fear rising again. The uncertainty. So he did the simplest thing. He reached for her hand and held it. "I choose her," he said. The words echoed. Clear. Unapologetic. A long silence followed. Then, one of the Haven Reach engineers stepped forward. "I choose her too," the engineer said quietly. A medic followed. "Me as well." Then a security officer. Then another. And another. Until the docking chamber filled with a chorus of voices. "I choose her. I choose them. I choose us." Elias felt the surge before it happened. This time it wasn't explosive. It wasn't violent. It was expansive. Her glow spread, not blinding, not overwhelming, but warm, like sunrise. The metallic walls of the station shimmered faintly. Systems recalibrated. Damaged panels sealed themselves. Failing conduits reignited. Engineers stared at their consoles in disbelief. Power level stabilizing. Structural integrity increasing. What is this? She closed her eyes. Tears slipped down her luminous cheeks. For the first time, she whispered, we are not forgotten. In the cycles that followed, Haven Reach transformed. Not because she ruled it, not because she commanded it, but because connection had become policy. Every new arrival was chosen, not registered, not processed, chosen. The ritual spread beyond the station. Ships departing Haven Reach carried the practice with them. Small colonies formed around shared acknowledgement. Alliances strengthened, not through treaties, but through deliberate choice. Even species that had once warred with one another began the ritual in shared councils. The galaxy did not become peaceful overnight, but it became aware. Months later, Elias stood once more at a viewport. The stars no longer looked cold. She joined him quietly. You could leave, she said. Return to human space. Rebuild your own world. He shook his head. My world is wherever I choose it to be. She studied him. You understand now, she said. He smiled. Yeah. Took me long enough. A transmission came through from an outer sector. A distant colony under threat. Pirate remnants regrouping. Elias glanced at her. She didn't glow immediately. She didn't need to. He extended his hand. She took it. I choose you, he said. Her eyes shone softly. And I choose you. This time, the power wasn't about survival. It wasn't about proving existence. It was about something greater. Responsibility. Because to choose someone is not just to see them. It is to stand with them. And across the galaxy, in systems that once flickered on the brink of extinction, ships began transmitting the same simple phrase. For words, repeated again and again. I choose you. Long after the war was forgotten, long after Haven Reach became a thriving nexus of interstellar unity, historians would record that the turning point of the era wasn't a battle, wasn't a weapon, wasn't a technological breakthrough. It was a human holding out a ration pack in a dim cargo bay and choosing someone no one else had seen. And she never refused again. Not the rations, not the connection, not the galaxy. Because she was chosen. And through that choice, so was everyone else.